Hello, everyone. Good to see you today. Always my joy to be with you and do this thing that I do. It's a lot of fun. Just doing a little bit of catching up so I can get started with this powerful broadcast. Just got finished doing a lot of work for a couple hours putting this together. So give me one moment. Welcome. Hope you're having a fantastic day today. All right, so let's get down to some center of light burst business. Get there eventually. So today I'm going to be talking to people here as well as on YouTube. I've got this thing going on YouTube as well. Really, really cool. You're so sweet, Kathy. Thank you. Whoever's here, just say hello. That way I know you are here because I like acknowledging those who are here. I see one person, so we're going to wait a couple more minutes. Oh, there we go. That's a better one. It shows two people here. Please say hello so I know who you is. I sure wish I got paid by the computer mouse click. I would be a trillionaire. Mr. Dan, good to see you, buddy. That's a good question, bro. I'm going to get to that one shortly. Hello, Dana. Hello, Dan. My brother, good to see you both. I appreciate you both being so dedicated to what I do and your support. And that shows me how dedicated you are to what you do that I support. I love to see a brother and a sister like you two and others who attend these presentations on their conscious spiritual path, and they're walking it at a pace that they have the intention of everyone else has to keep up. You gotta love that. Okay. I'm gonna wait 2 more minutes. We'll get started on the at 1:40. I will say this from the top. This broadcast today is not intended whatsoever to upset you. Let's clear that air right now. It's not meant to upset you. It's not meant to make you mad at me. It's not meant to make you call me names, which I really don't care, because I've learned how to step out of the way of continuing the unconscious pattern we call karma. Because if someone said something to me or about me, if you step aside, energetically and or metaphorically, it doesn't stick. Someone once spit on Martin Luther King. He took out his handkerchief, wiped it off, and gave it back to the man and says, I think this belongs to you. Because he was smart enough and wise enough to know that that is not what or who I am. I am not who you think I am. You are what you think I am. That's one aspect of karma and how to get out of it. Just don't let it affect you because you're greater than that. Don't let someone's lower opinion or folly dictate who you are. Because in so doing, you join them in the illusion. I don't make the rules. I follow the karmic law. And there is a great difference between rules and laws. A law is stable and absolute. That's why it cannot be broken. That's why it is called law. On earth, when you're driving in the car and you do something crazy, you didn't break the law, you broke the rule. And when you understand the difference between rules and laws, it gets easier. It creates perspective. You have a greater degree of perception because of. All right, let me do one more refresh and see who's here. Everyone's saying hello, and we're going to get started with this broadcast. Hello, Dana. Dana's here. Good, good, good. I have Native Earth Lady, Kathy Briggs. Sweet, dear lady. She is on YouTube watching. Hello, Kathy. One last time. All right. Time to get down. I'm going to say it again. This broadcast is not intended to make you upset. Or how dare you, Keith? How dare I is because I love you. That's my agenda. It's my intention. It's because we all want to get out of the snare, out of the trap. Not because you're broken. It's because we want to get out of the trap, singularly and collectively. Cognitive dissonance. Look it up. Cognitive dissonance. When someone presents you with an idea that bucks your current way of seeing things, your belief system, that which you hold sacred and or blasphemous, or whatever, to whatever degree about whatever it is, and it doesn't sit well with the person because it's dissonance. That's why two notes, when you play music, if someone hits a bad note against another note, that's why it has that horrible sound there. Playing out of key is because it's called dissonance. This is called cognitive dissonance. Someone told me something that goes against the grain of everything I hold dear, and I cannot accept it because it's not a part of my core belief. Doesn't mean that it's not true of what you have recently learned. It's just, is it just that are we willing to bend and get out of the box that we thought about a particular something was true? The truth does not need anyone's permission to exist. If that would be the case, everything would shut down. The truth is that which holds everything together. It's the cosmic glue. And it sits patiently, waiting for us to recognize it so we can become conscious of it and be the living experience of said truth. There's lots of noise going on around my house. I live in an industrial area. And if you don't have low-end speakers like woofers or subwoofers, you probably won't hear it. So there's going to be big, what do you call it, pallets dropped on the ground and trains taking off. All right. So the reason I'm doing this broadcast today is because last night I made a post. Just a meme. Simple meme. Someone brought something up to my attention that inspired this broadcast. And it touched me. The meme was just simple. Me and my late night just posting spiritual insights, wisdom, ideas that come to me when I'm in a meditative state. And the meme was adhere. If laws could be broken, the universe would shut down. Spiritual karmic law is order. And of course, I'm not going to name the person. That's irrelevant. And the person is beautiful to me because they brought something to my awareness. And I can feel their efforting. I can feel their struggle. I can feel their pain, if that's a word I could use. And this was their response to me about the post I made. If laws could be broken, the universe would shut down. Spiritual karmic law is order. My intentions of making that post, so when someone reads it, they can go, wow, karmic law. Well, I've heard about karma, also heard about reap what you sow, also heard about what comes around goes around, also heard about for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, hoping that this meme would trigger that into them so they can always walk consciously in a state of balance, so we can no longer so we can get out of living in struggle, effort, and difficulty and karma. That was my intention. And this is what the person wrote, and I'm reading this, again, not to call them out, is because it touched me. And I felt that their post in the comment box deserved attention because they did ask me a question. If that's the truth, then why are there so many evildoers in the world? Phenomenal question. Perception. Lack of understanding. I'll get back to that in a moment. Why is it that so many so-called leaders and professional people walking around the world pretending to be competent when they are completely incompetent and completely selfish, greedy, racist, sexist, sociopathic, and narcissistic? Unless you're in complete denial and refuse to see that what's happening on the daily basis, then you have to notice everyday regular Joe and Jane, and I'm going to use these words because they selected these words and they're purposeful because there's power in these words, and it will reveal their lack of frustration. And I don't want that person to be in frustration. I don't. Unless you are in complete denial and refuse to see what's happening on a daily basis, then you have to notice everyday regular Joe and Jane who fuck people over on a daily basis in order to buy a bigger house, in order to bring home a bigger paycheck, and or to buy a bigger car, etc. They don't mind fucking anybody just as long as their family or company is A-okay. I understand that, dear. I do. I understand the human dynamic of how certain people are living in an unconscious state to where they think it's about them because they are disconnected from the all. So they're trying to get all that they can. They think they're disconnected from the all, and they're consciously disconnected from the all, and so they want to get all that they can. It's a normal response. It's a natural response for a person to live in this modality. When they're not conscious of the all, and they feel singular, separate, and alone, because they want to be attached to the all, to all of it, they take. How the fuck is karma so fucking slow to act? That's a very good point. Why is karma so slow to act? It's not. Slap someone in the face and watch what happens. Say something behind someone who's close to you, behind their back. Watch how fast it gets back around to you, and watch the effect it's going to have. Now, when we're dealing with large mass scale, it does seem to take a long time. Totally get and agree with that. I get it. But you can bet the law is very much in force, because this is not only about the earth. As long as we see this about the earth on this timeline, you will believe that karma is happening, depending on your perception and perspective, is not happening. This person done this to me. It could be because you brought something forth a year ago, day before yesterday, or that you brought nothing forth, that you were just in thinking modality about something you feel that you were due on some unconscious level. That is not of a loving nature. Let's back up the earth. You got, let's call this Earth C. There's Earth A and there's Earth B, and they vibrate at a lower vibration than we are. And then we are C, and there's Earth D, and there's Earth E. There are different parallel Earths. Now, what is taking place on all these Earths has an effect of what's happening here. Because once you begin to move through different parallels, time begins to disappear. So the soul, even though it's balanced already, but to make a point, the soul is seeking balance. So everything is playing itself out in a no timeline situation. So those bad people this person was referring to, the karma will rear its ugly head or its beautiful head, because the karma is actually grace. Karma is grace from spirit. How is karma grace? Because it's delivered to you as I am doing this broadcast, like I said at the beginning, with love, not to piss you off. Karma is not designed to make you mad at God or to make you mad at said thing that happened in your life that is coming back around to reveal itself. It falls under the umbrella of absolute ignorance. Not ignorance because I just called you a name. It is a word in the dictionary that describes a disposition. That's how I'm using the word. It's ignorance. See, I can go in many different examples about karma and what's happened in the past on this earth, and I'll let spirit guide. So let me continue reading this person's post. How the fuck is karma so slow to act? Phenomenal point. I don't believe in karma. I believe in evil. I believe in the good people. I believe in the good people only. Don't dare trick yourself into believing that you're a good person when you know for a fact that evil is going on around you and in you, and you do nothing. They're not speaking directly to me. They're speaking using the word you in general. And she's speaking directly to you if it applies to you. Good for you, the person who made this post. You looked the other way. Your greed and your selfishness led your way. By the way, I'm not speaking to Keith personally. Phenomenal post. It made me think. It touched me. So here's my response to that person who wanted some relief. You could feel it. You could feel it in the delivery of what this person had to say. How moved they were by my meme. First thing I'm going to do is always is just post a bunch of links to follow my work. Share those links with people you love. All right, now let's get to the meat and potatoes of this broadcast. Boy, it sure does take me a long time to get completely through the crud. All right. The first thing that is important and in order is to understand what perception is. The title of this broadcast is Perception and Karmic Law. The definition of perception, we agree. The dictionary is a book we all agree. It's the wise book that tells us everything words mean. It conveys thoughts, ideas, it conveys principles, it conveys consciousness. So whatever the definition of any word brings forth, that is what we collectively agree is being said and distributed via telepathy, but through spoken word. It's a way of trading images and ideas and telepathic thought through the medium of written word. That is what the dictionary is. Definition of perception: the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses. The normal limits, keyword, normal and limits. The normal limits to human perception. I am so not into normal. I'm into supernormal. I'm into supernatural. People say, oh God, Keith, that's supernatural. It's a bad word. No. Natural is beautiful. Natural is our essence. Natural is God. And I'm into supernatural, meaning I want to experience the natural in a super way. So don't take anything I say, please, out of the context of which it's intended. If you do, that's your folly. That's not my issue. It's yours. I am not what you think I am. You are what you think I am. The state perception, the state of being or process being. We are human beings. The state of being or process of becoming aware, I say it all the time, becoming aware of something through the senses, the perception of pain, recognition, awareness, consciousness, appreciation, realization, knowledge, grasp, understanding, comprehension, apprehension, formal cognizance. So we understand what perception is. It's how we're taking in the world, or how we're spinning it, to put it into a place that I feel it in here and I can dig it here. Can't dig it over here, but I can play with it like this and somewhat meander through it and have some peace about it. This is where we're getting into karmic law. I have karmic experiences. We all have karmic experiences. A spiritual master said, as soon as you are born onto this earth, you are in trouble. It didn't mean you were in trouble. It meant the law of cause and effect is in play. Native Earth Lady on YouTube says, I find it hard sometimes to just leave karma take over, but I do try hard. Yeah. I got to remember Mr. Dan Hoquist. He posted a question or a couple things a minute ago. In fact, I think I answered his question. Do I think that something to the effect of karma, or does it create parallel worlds? Yeah, they're all connected. In fact, I don't know, Dan, if the correct way I would answer that would... I don't necessarily think it creates parallel worlds and universes. They all exist. I think it just allows us to support the existence for others by constantly doing the karmic thing. It constantly allows that reality to be an experience. I don't think it necessarily creates them, because they all exist. Everything exists now. It just gives support to said universe kind of idea. Dan also says karma must use reincarnation. Obviously, Hitler couldn't possibly balance the sheet in one lifetime. I knew someone was going to go there. Dear Lord, if you want me to talk about this, I have no compunction whatsoever. Again, this broadcast is not to upset you. In fact, it's to liberate you, to give you something so powerful that you will never be a victim ever in your life again, singularly and collectively as a world. That is my intention. So let me continue reading my broadcast. Here's a baseball bat. This is the importance of perception. Here's a baseball bat. Is that good or bad? Well, that's good. People play baseball, recreation with it. It brings people lots of joy. Well, not really. This bat last night killed someone. Well, that's bad. Well, not really, because the person it killed was an individual who was attacking a woman. Well, that's good. Well, no, not really. And you can play this endless going nowhere game all you want. It's the monkey mind. It's the devil and the angel on the shoulder griping at you so you can't get through the ceiling of thought so you can have profound peace. From the divine principle anchoring heaven on earth. My bestseller. The dialogue. Earth's energy is beginning to shift dramatically, and it's lifting at an exponential rate. The pace of life is accelerating like never before, and in this age of computer technology, when new phenomena quickly become obsolete, most people find it tough just to keep up. But it's very important for all of you to update yourselves and absorb as much information as possible. After all, who do you think is behind this idea that you call the information age? And I say to Spirit, that goes without saying. Spirit says, well, does it now? And I say, yes, it's obvious to me that you are behind it. So why is the world so reluctant to use it to its fullest capacity? And I said, ouch. Spirit continues. Let me put it this way. When humanity finally does get around to taking in what I've been saying for eons, individual and world peace will be yours. Now I ask, so what should we call this time we're living in? The end, the beginning, the new age, the golden age, Revelation, Armageddon, the rapture? What? Spirit, it matters not to me what you call it. What does matter is for you to believe with all you have that I am blanketing you and the earth with love's vision so that humanity can see what has been created, how it is working, and what needs to be recycled for your further expansion. You must know that the closer I get to you, the more the law of cause and effect will be in play. Said another way, as my light pierces the illusion of time and space, everything about you will be unmasked to reveal your shadow self, your own illusion, your own karmic pattern, singularly, collectively, globally, worldly, humanity, galactically, cosmically. It's all energy moving about itself. Get on Google and look up Taurus, T-O-R-U-S. See what it looks like. Find a GIF of it, and you'll see the dynamic that happens. The energy of God and the universe is constantly turning within itself, updating, expanding, growing, and there's no way we cannot be affected by the dance, by the expression of God, the in and the out breath. It's constantly breathing in, it's constantly breathing out, it's constantly inhaling and exhaling, Soham. And whatever is not in alignment with pure, absolute, universal, conscious light, it gets revealed. So we can become a conscious part and become married in a covenant to our divine parent. Because you cannot bring karma back to heaven. It would be a cancer cell, and that's too great of a possibility to have the universe shut down. It will never happen. It will never happen. It will never, ever happen. So you have to resolve it. I ask Spirit, are you saying that cause and effect will not be separate and that our thoughts will suddenly begin to manifest? God says, right, kiddo. As the world keeps moving down its timeline, reality will indeed begin to immediately manifest from thought, because God power is winding its way through every soul on the planet, making now the perfect time to manifest your own life's desires. But before what I just said, dear Lord, alignment. But before we can truly work and play together, I must first mirror to each of you with all my love exactly who you are as a thinking, feeling, doing, being. As a thinking, feeling, doing, being. We have to take responsibility. There's no other way. You don't have to believe in karmic law, whoever you are. Keep getting knocks on your head for quite a long time. You will eventually entertain the possibility. Hello, Michelle. Michelle says, I have heard that being born means we failed to reach enlightenment in a previous life. What is your take on that? Said exactly the same thing. It's said differently. So for those people who heard what you said, what Michelle said, that we failed, that's not the context in which she's meaning the point. She's meaning we failed. Obviously, we did not reach the level of spirit consciously. We have to come back and do the work. But Keith, this is about those people, those bad people in the world that are doing these things. Justice will happen. The same justice that is happening to you, whoever you may be, and that's in a general statement, meaning I see on Facebook all the time, so-and-so did this to me. I can't wait to be around when karma comes back. I would be very, very careful about ever saying that in your life ever again. Is it just possible that karma paid you a visit as well? Take that in for a minute. I hope I'm around when karma serves that person for what they did to me. I hear you. Careful what you just asked for. Because is it possible said person did that to you because there is justice in the universe and you were served your own dose of it? I am not sitting on a high horse. I am not sitting on a higher than thou throne. I have my own issues I deal with every day. Just like you. I know the truth. I know the law. And because I care for you and I love you, I'm sharing it with you. Okay, I'm going to read you something from the divine principle that's going to help you now, if it pertains to you, or this is new information for you, and also those in the future. It's called unconditional love. Spirit says, you may ask why I do not solve the world's problems. Spirit says, they answer, I do address them, but not by waving my hand to remove them, for that would only negate my unconditional love, the love that allows everything to be just as it is. If I were to step in and immediately solve the calamities that you have created, all actions, development, and evolution would stop. And if a greater need should arise, all of creation would collapse with its law of cause and effect in place. That's why I made that meme last night. Because of karmic law is what prevents the universe from collapsing. The solutions you seek will come about when everyone becomes willing to be stripped of all that is impure and to be rebuilt into conscious beings. Only then will you be able to rise above your troubles and create a world of love, peace, and unity. Still have a good bit of reading, so I'm going to continue, but I'm going to take some water. This will help you if you are such a person who wants to understand karmic law. Excuse me. With the intentions of moving out of the pattern, the old unconscious pattern that constantly come back around and kick our ass. I strongly suggest with every fiber of my being, and I want to hand you something very powerful and beautiful because I love you. Never use the word victim again. Consider the possibility that you can never be a victim. In entertaining the possibility that I can never be a victim automatically stops the karmic ball from rolling as fast as it possibly can to you. You are doing half the work. Let me give you an example of why victimization is not real. Well, Keith, you don't understand. That son of a bitch did this to me the other day. And he's going to get his. Dangerous. Unconscious, dangerous ground. God says in the divine principle, many attach much power to that V word, victimization, because they feel it justifies whatever mess they make for themselves. I know that's tender. I know that's a tender spot. But do you want the truth? Because the truth is not a tincture. It's not a salve, and it's not a Band-Aid. The truth can be salt in a wound. Because we all know that salt has healing properties. So the truth has healing properties. The truth is healing. But it may come in a way that we don't like, aka via karma, because it gets our attention. Dear one, are we paying attention here? I have something for you. Please look at this. Though you may not like it, look at it. Honestly, use correct perception. Wow. Takes on a new tone. And now you just begin to play with your own spiritual power by taking your responsibility back. Many attach much power to that V word because they feel it justifies whatever mess they make for themselves. It has long been used to deny that they are the weavers of their own life's tapestry. But the concept of victimization does not, cannot, and will not ever exist. As far as I am concerned, any such claim plunges lifelessly to the ground, just as the tainted ones did in the Great Fall. Here is some good advice. Omit this word from your vocabulary and your mind. And I ask Spirit, what actually happens in a victimization scenario? That's a fantastic question, not because I asked it, because I was the one that asked it. It sets up the answer that we're all wanting so we can have clarity and to be able to get out of trouble once and for all in our lives. What actually happens in a victimization scenario? And Spirit responds, it is very simple. Two souls make an agreement to act something out on the earth plane. Let me illustrate. Late one night, a woman goes to the store to buy a few things. She decides to park her car in a dimly lit area. Why there when there were so many other options? And I say, I don't know. Why? Because she is carrying out her part of the agreement. When she is through shopping, she returns to her car when someone sneaks up behind her. A crime is committed, but is she a victim? Stay with that for a moment. When she is through shopping, she returns to her car where someone sneaks up behind her. A crime is committed, but is she a victim? And I tell Spirit, she's a victim of that crime, isn't she? If she desires to manifest her godlike self, she does not claim to be one. Furthermore, if she were fully aware of her godlike self, she would not have been in that predicament in the first place. This event is her soul's effort to help her take responsibility for what happens to her while she resides on the earth. Follow me here, okay? And I say, okay. How many souls are there by the car? 2. The fact that both their bodies arrived at the moment they did shows that these two souls were only keeping their agreement. So in truth, there was no perpetrator, no victim, ergo, no crime, just the lesson. I remind you that just because one may not be aware of an agreement, it does not mean that he/she is not responsible for what takes place between him/her and others. In order for anyone to get to his/her own true power, they must transcend all blame and acknowledge that they can never be a victim of circumstance in anything. From now on, when troublesome scenarios show up, you will be better able to avoid feeling victimized by whatever happens. My hope for you, beloveds, indeed, not only for you, but for the entire world, is that you will lose all sense of victimization you may have and begin to live empowered lives. The law of karma. You reap what you sow, cause and effect. This law ensures divine order and keeps it that way. Your difficulty has been that, until recently, you did not know that you were the one responsible for creating your reality. Sin is not something that requires punishment. Karma. It's simply a miscalculation on your part that you must learn from and correct so that you can release yourself from the karma you have been bound to, so that you can put yourself back on track. You and many have bought into this concept, and since guilt is all you have known, you have remained in that mindset, all the while revering those deities who have achieved conscious perfection. Spirit says, so you understand my point that your fear has been a mirror reflection of your spiritual status. And I said, yes, I've lived your point and know it all too well. Then let me ask you this, Keith. At this moment, now that you're beginning to consciously connect with me, what is showing up in your life? Much more grace, joy, love, and prosperity than before, and many opportunities to live blissfully. Then do you think you're finally allowing yourself to really live now? Yes, at least that's what it feels like. Your fright, fight, flight response seemed to be appropriate for your security and survival back then, because you felt you needed some sort of refuge to fall back on. But such a posture created lessons and karma that had to be transcended before you could get on with your spiritual growth. Now you and everyone else have come to the time when fear can be released into its further expansion into love. By living in the present moment and letting go of how you think things are. That is a monumental statement. Letting go of how you think things are will give you correct perception. By always being aware of the dynamic that is moving within you, and by responding to everything around you with a loving attitude, you can all come to realize peace. Responding to everything with a loving attitude, even the bad people. I understand self-preservation and self-protection. That is not what I'm referring to. But it did happen for a reason, because justice throughout the universe happens. Sometimes it's immediate, instant karma, and sometimes it takes lifetimes. Keith, what you're saying is a bunch of nonsense. Are you living in a karmic dynamic? Final piece. Spirit says to me, how pleased I am that you're beginning to see at last that acknowledging any pattern is the halfway point to change. Once a week, this horrible thing happens to me. It's a car across the street flexing its engine muscles. Do you hear it? There's a mechanic that lives across the street. Take some water while he's doing that, while he's showing off. And then I'm going to get to a Q&A, so thank you for hanging out. He's got a hot rod. The other half of acknowledging a pattern that you're in that's constantly causing you unconscious trouble, the other half, as you also know by now, is to keep on doing the work, other than finally acknowledging, oh my God, I'm probably in a pattern. That's half of the work. The other half is to do the work. To totally commit to your new ways by resisting every temptation to go back to the old. Hold yourself steady as you would a magnifying glass to the sun, a little longer each time until a clearer image of your path is burned into your consciousness. Know that just because the sun sets, it does not mean that your day's work is done. Changing your life patterns is a 24/7 job. One more thing. You have not yet learned, as you have played life over and over, is how assigning guilt to someone only nullifies your own power and leaves both of you with hopeless, angry thoughts I got to read that nugget again. It puts the power in your hand. It puts the power in your consciousness. It puts the power in your heart. It puts the power in your lap. It puts the power in you to finally do something about claiming you're a victim. That's the purpose of this broadcast, and not to piss you off. I'm going to read it again because I love you. Changing your life patterns is a 24/7 job. One more thing you have not yet learned as you have played life over and over is how assigning guilt to someone only nullifies your own power and leaves you both with hopeless, angry thoughts. So here's another guideline for you. Each time you point your finger of blame at someone else, you might as well be pointing a finger at yourself. With my guidance, maybe this time you will be able to stay centered in the heart so that when karma does show up again, you will not do what you have always done before. React. Maybe this time you would do your best to forgive and love just because you can. Dearest, what you and everyone should want to be overcome by is that, aha, I've got it feeling. And you get that when you come from a state of love, not from fear. You will not believe how much easier it is to carry the divine torch of enlightenment through life than it is to bear the burden of ignorance, fear, and pain. I'm going to get me some water, and then I'm going to take a Q&A. I don't claim to have all the answers. I know how the law works. Intuitively, I know how it works. The reflection of my life speaks for how it works. The reflection of your life, when you're doing things consistently that are in balance in a higher vibration, speak for it in your life. And it's an example for everyone else. Let me look on YouTube real quick, see my beautiful people over here. Native Earth Lady, we need to forgive no matter what it is. And then you can heal it. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. Forgiveness not only takes you off the hook, it even takes a person who did a said bad thing off the hook and out of the karma. Did you just lean into the thought, but I want them to have their karma? They did this thing to me. And that creates more karma for you. Hopeless, angry thoughts by pointing the finger at them. It creates hopeless, angry thoughts in both parties. So, as a light worker, we change all that by not being pissed off at this person who did said thing, but to forgive them. And it helps to nullify and dissipate their karma as well. That is coming from a space of love. If we did these things horribly to people all the time, our karma, a judgmental God, would smash you immediately. It would smite you. Well, Keith, God is judgmental. It is not. I'll prove it to you. Here's a God that some people believe in, judgmental punishing. Would you agree that an unconditional loving God, unconditional loving, allows everything to be as it is, would be of a higher nature? So which one is a lesser God and which one is a higher God? And which one do you want to serve? Do you want to serve the judgmental punishing one? And believe and worship and acknowledge it as the all? Or do you want to serve, follow, dwell in the experience of an unconditional loving God that does not punish, but has created the law of karma Reap what you sow. Comes around, goes around. Every action is an equal opposite reaction. Whatever you call it doesn't matter. The truth does not need anyone's permission to exist. That this law is in place, it will put everyone in check. So God has to do nothing except sit back and live in eternal bliss. Basically saying, when you're done down there playing around and monkeying around and screwing around and hurting yourself and other people, the doors begin to open up and we go back home. But Keith, what about the Holocaust? What about Rwanda? I really don't want to play that game. But I'll give you some insight as to what is going on and the dynamic that is taking place. This is not to upset any of my Jewish friends or African friends. This is not about that. I'm not blaspheming, trivializing what happened to your lineage or to people that you're close to. That's not what this is about. On the earth plane, in this physical timeline that we have lived in, this atrocity has taken place. These horrific actions have taken place. The question I pose simply and honestly and sincerely to God is, why? Why? It's because of the dialogue that I had a little bit ago with Dan. It's not only about this earth. It's about other parallels. It's about other experiences, other past life experiences. Keith, I don't believe in this stuff, and that's okay. So the question becomes, why did these atrocities throughout humanity happen, and why are they happening, and why will they possibly happen in the future? It's karmic law. It's justice that happens throughout the cosmos that wants to bring everything into a state of absolute balance. There's already absolute balance, but are we experiencing that? I'm not experiencing to the fullest degree that I want to experience it. Who knows what took place in these atrocities as to why such events have come back and brought these experiences? I don't know the answer to that. I know cosmic law. I know karmic law. I'm not saying your loved one deserved to be in a concentration camp. I'm not saying that your loved ones deserve to be in an experience of Rwanda or wherever an atrocity may be happening. That is not what I'm implying at all. So don't come at me or blame me for sharing a piece of empowerment with you that can not only change your life, but the entire world. Yes, there were horrible events that took place. But when we stop seeing them as evil, it changes the dynamic. Were those people who murdered Christ, when Christ at an early age saw his own mortality, were they evil people that carried out Spirit's will for Christ to be crucified so that we can all see it at this time in our period in our life? The karmic pattern. Were they responsible for Jesus' death when spirits supposedly have used them to bring about Jesus' death? It puts a new spin on things. Both are true. Both are true. They are responsible for their actions, but they were also used by the justice system to bring about the transmutation of karma. Jesus did not die for your sins. That's erroneous. He did not die for your sins. Jesus, being the light, had a pure heart, which was the gate to absolute light, the Father. The purpose of Jesus' crucifixion was so that karma, dark energy, because Jesus is the light, and we know that light dissipates dark. So the old paradigm, the old dark world moved through Christ's being when he was crucified, so he could transmute it into light. That is correct perception. It doesn't matter what denomination you come from. It doesn't matter the words you use. That is correct perception. Jesus transmuted the light. Jesus transmuted the dark by being selfless and passionate and sincere of dissipating the dark through his Christed heart, the sacred heart, the stargate of light. So when I speak of these atrocities that has happened, the Holocaust, Russia, 27 million people were murdered in Russia. 27 million. Something to the tune of over 12 million in Rwanda. I think. I'm not sure about that last piece of information. It's a huge number regardless. And it hurts. It hurts our collective heart. But it's beyond this earth. There are many parallels. There are many past lives. There are many future lives. It's not about the past or the future. That's not how it works. It's all happening right now. And we can flip-flop our consciousness anywhere in time and space for us to descend into the human experience, even into the past, even into the potential future, to experience something, hopefully it wouldn't take of a great enormity, so that when we do pass, or not, because we're becoming enlightened in this life, in this body, that we no longer have to incarnate again. It's all done with grace. It's all done with love. Spirit does not hand out anything other than grace and love, and anything that will not promote you into further expansion. That is karmic law. It is divine order. Divine order. Hear it from the space I intended. I intend you to become empowered. I intend you to live that example, and others will follow. The prophecy of heaven and earth will become anchored forevermore. And we can stop blaming the them and the they, because now we're taking the power back and say, it's me, it's me, it's me. Because I am going to be the one to ensure this will never happen to me again. And when you live from that space of passion, everyone in your karmic experience has no choice but to live it as well. And none of us, neither you nor they, will be left with hopeless, angry thoughts in the world of sins. I'm now going to take a Q&A. If anyone has anything you want to bring forth, please feel free to do so now. I want to see who is here today. Thank you very much for attending this broadcast. Take some water. I'm going to address my beautiful people on YouTube. Native Earth Lady says, I was raped very young by 2 guys and blocked it out. Dear Lord. Like it or not, that is equally as horrible as any atrocity I mentioned. I was raped very young by 2 guys and blocked it out. In 2000, I remembered it all. And I appreciate, and I want to acknowledge her. Native Earth Lady is divulging this publicly. You are courageous. I'm proud of you. You deserve to be acknowledged because of your vulnerability to help other people. And that's exactly what you're doing. I applaud you. I was raped very young by 2 guys and blocked it out. In 2000, I remembered it all. I am at an age where I can now forgive them. And just put it in the hands of karma, and I can heal. And you see, you're not doing what I mentioned earlier when I said, be careful of anyone wishing that it would come around and karma bite them on their ass. That sounds like the words you use, but that's not what you're doing, because I can feel your intention, Kathy. What you're saying is, I'm just letting it go. It's not mine anymore. I'm just letting it go and I'm going to heal. I know that's what you meant in that post. Thank you for revealing something very sacred. Michelle says, it reminds me of... I can't... Ho'oponopono. It's a Hawaiian word, I believe. Thank you. I love you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. That's what it means. Let me drop that word. Let me see if I can pronounce it. Ho'oponopono. And I don't have glasses on. So let me get back to Facebook and see what people are saying. Again, this broadcast was not to upset you. It was designed to liberate you. Jennifer says, I know what you mean. Very wise. Oh, thank you, dear. I got that wisdom from the grace of spirit, from the grace of karma. It's not meant to upset you. It's meant to liberate you. So let me do one final refresh on this broadcast of perception and what you think is happening and karmic law. Dana says, thank you for the broadcast. Dana, thank you, dear. So I'm going to stay here for 4 more minutes so I can stop on a solid digit, so to speak, instead of like 3 or 2 or 1. Or I'm going to stop on the 0, which will be at 2:40. So if you have anything you want to bring up, feel free to mention that now. Again, thank you everyone on YouTube. And thank you everyone on Facebook for joining me. I know it's hard to wrap our hearts, not our minds, our hearts around the atrocities of the past. I get it. I get it. It doesn't mean we're giving it permission to exist. It doesn't mean that. It takes us off the hook and it clears our thinking and our capacity to process. It doesn't mean that we allow such things to continue. It's not what it means. And my brother Dan, who is on another Facebook feed of this broadcast, says, that's why I didn't see him. I would like to think that there is a universe where JFK survived the attack. Absolutely. It all plays itself out. There is a parallel reality where John F. Kennedy has not died. Why would God of a creation need worship or judge any part of its own creation? God is omnipresent. It's everything. It does not judge a part of itself. If it judged a part of itself, it would have to break that part of itself off and throw it in the trash, and it would no longer exist. This is erroneous beliefs. These are erroneous ways of seeing things. It's nonsensical. There is no judgmental God. And we want to judge other people because we think they are due that via our own belief in a judgmental God. How you see the world and yourself is evidence of the God you believe in. Chew on that. If you believe in a judgmental, punishing God, then when someone does something to you, you believe that through your judgment that they need to be punished. If you believe in lack, you believe in a God that will not provide. I don't make the law. It's a mirror, and it reflects to us constantly our spiritual status. That's the gig. And if you want more of beautifulness in your life, then we have to become the beauty itself and get out of the fight that's causing the ongoing separation consciously and bringing trouble in your life via the grace of karmic law. I hope this broadcast brought you some relief and some peace and empowered you with some information, knowing that I can come back to this broadcast to hear it again so I can begin to get my life on track. Car always breaking down, always being sickly. Car breaking down and being sick. Being sick and tired of your car always breaking down. These things always happen to me. That's what this broadcast was about. And I ask you to take it and run with it. If this applies to your life. Take the grace. Take the spiritual nugget, the jewel that's being handed to you. So as I said at the beginning of the broadcast, change your perception, because what may be happening may not be what you think it is. Jennifer says we need to get lighter to bring the whole thing up. We arise and awaken and ascend through light. Being light-natured. Having a light sense of humor. Being light on yourself. Being light on other people. Jesus was the light. We tell people, or we tell ourselves sometimes we need to lighten up. Because in the light, there is no dark. And in that light is spirit. And when we fall deeper and deeper within ourselves and deeper into our own state of consciousness, we become the light of consciousness. And we transcended a world of duality and karmic law. And now we're living in the cosmic life stream. Some people are living in that cosmic life stream now. You may say, how is that possible, Keith? I'm not in it. So that proves the point. That there are different parallels, different realities for 7+ billion people on the planet. We're all living in different cosmic experiences. We're all living with different the same cosmic law, but different experiences. Two people can be next to each other and live on two different parallels of Earth. Someone may be living in an absolute bliss and someone next to them may not be. This is a separation of reality. But it's a cosmic law that binds them together. And hopefully through Spirit's grace and justice, that once we all begin to get it, we can go back home. We've transcended cosmic law and we can finally, once again, join consciously in heaven. In heaven. Because heaven is not a place. Heaven is a space that exists within each and every person. And when we begin to join, we all go back home from where we all came from. We are birthed on earth to be human. We're also birthed back to the divine from earth. I love you. Native Earth Lady says, Keith, all your shows are only to help the people who need and want your help. Well, thank you, dear. Listen, I get help, darling, every time I do a broadcast. It comes through me, and it's not an ego stroke. I learn every time. I'm learning from you right now. Michelle says, you would say that ego, the illusion part of us, is what keeps us locked in bitterness and revenge mentality. Absolutely. We're not the judge. We're not to be the judge and jury. We stop judging. We're out of the fight. We get to see the gift that is given to us. See, I just learned something. The gift that is given to us through non-judgment is sight. Non-judgment equals sight and vision. And I don't mean seeing. It gives us sight. Michelle says, think the light, breathe it, be it. I love that word light. Thank you so much. You're welcome, dear. Profound stuff. I love what I do. That's why I do these things and don't charge. Because I have instant karma. When I do these broadcasts, I'm sitting in instant karma. The grace. Because I'm bringing this forth, not expecting a return, except to offer something to people that I care about. So I get to ride the current. That's why when I do these broadcasts, I feel like I'm exploding with light. I get what I want because I'm selfish in a good way. I selfishly do these broadcasts selflessly. So I can be full of the higher light vibrational self called the Christ, called the Buddha, called the lowest flower that lives in all of us. I'm just activating mine. And I hope you are activating yours. Everyone, thank you again for YouTube. I'm going to move away from the YouTube page. Thank you, Michelle. Dearly, you are beautiful. You've been nothing but kind to me. Thank you, Kathy. You're beautiful. You have been nothing but kind to me. And even if someone wasn't, you are beautiful and I love you. I'm just going to be kind to you. And finally, Facebook, once over. I'm vibrating so high, I need food. My being is vibrating. Everyone, thank you for today's broadcast. I'm going to do these as often as possible. I hope that you are watching this, as well as you in the future who will watch this. If you started from the middle and the end, please go back to the very beginning because it talks about perception. And perception is everything. It is that which will spin you out of unconsciousness. And not judgment. It's that which will grant you sight, spiritual awareness. My name is Keith Anthony Blanchard. Visit me at keithanthonyblanchard.com or centeroflightradio.com. Fill out that sign-up form on the opening page. You get a bunch of free stuff. Click on that red Ferrari. It will take you to my RPM program, Recognize, Plug In, and Manifest Your Life. Send me an email at keithanthonyblanchard@gmail.com. Say, Keith, I want a free session with you. I'll give you a free session. Help you to expand it to something you want more of. Greater degrees of something in your life. You want to move out of something. You want to move through a block. KeithAnthonyBlanchard@gmail. Title that subject line, Keith, I want a free session. Always, as always, as always. I love you. Peace, love, and live in the light.